Hello and welcome to It's All Comical for April the 8th, 2022. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I'm going to say, it's just been a little under a year that I did the first, what, could be considered the first in this series of video vlogs, if you will. Um, Not under the title of It's All Comical, but essentially it's been this is, in that chain at a point I retitled the effort, reframed what I was doing with it. Even the title itself, It's All Comical, refers to, both, again, just to quickly re-explain, why is this It's All Comical? It refers both to my career work in stand-up comedy and in just being considering myself a at least a partial comedic comedy writer, but also the idea that at the same time then that I was developing a project for graphic novels, and I still, I have a project in mind that's a graphic novel related project. I'm sort of not actively working on it at the time because other things have happened, which I guess I'll explain here in a minute. But the bottom line is so to get into comic scripting as well as there's been this clear evolution. Right, and truly, this began by documenting. I was sort of documenting week by week. I hope to continue to post. At least the original intent was to post one of these videos every Friday, and haven't been doing that regularly. It started as an effort to post an update. Part of it, or part of the original genesis of it, was to sort of document my ongoing weight loss effort, which started again just a little over a year ago. I believe like mid-April, end of April. It is again April the 8th, so like within another 2 weeks will be sort of the start of the effort, the weight loss effort. And I believe it was April the 30th, last year that I made the first video in the series. Again, it was chronicling the week-to-week weight loss numbers. If you go back and watch other videos on my channel here, and they're all like this. It's just me bullshitting at a camera. I started off in a very much more formal place because it was, the design was, as I was getting into, writing, that I wanted to try to build an audience and establish for myself a credibility in the field of copywriting for the healthcare industry. I'd done some work in the last number of years leading up to the pandemic that were related to the healthcare industry, as I explained in some of those early videos. And I was trying to marry the satisfaction of working in healthcare tangentially. I'm not a healthcare professional, but I was sort of working in some technically related fields, and then I got into doing something that was kind of closer to my to my natural skill set in working for a company that creates reports for the VA, so it was there was some editing involved. There was working with doctors in order to create these evaluation reports for veterans that were seeking benefits from the VA, and then I got sort of looped into this idea about pursuing independent copywriting, establishing a business for myself as an independent copywriter, and with a niche focus to healthcare. If you happen to find this video and you're looking for that kind of work, and maybe if you're open to working with somebody who is a focused copywriter. Again, I at this point I feel like I'm very well trained at it, and I can offer you those services. We can open up that conversation, but I don't know that anyone who's looking for those services are going to come across my videos these days. It's so what I'm saying is then I've gotten away from that, and I've gotten away from that not because I'm sort of a very typical pipe dreamer kind of person that starts things and then doesn't seem. It's that I followed the evolution of it, and as we've gone into this what I've started calling the adventure. There's been this call in my life, and I don't want to make that sound too flaky. I mean, like literally the course of our history, our family story, if you will, right? Has lent itself to me having a time to really focus on my primary passion, which has always been writing and communication, and really without a need for me to be a week-to-week breadwinner. Not that my wife is fine with me sitting on a couch eating chips and playing video games and contributing nothing to our household. She is very supportive of making that sort of larger investment. And she, and I've answered the bell, answered the call to throw myself into establishing a writing career for myself, which again began with trying to launch a copywriting business, but then as we really sort of reassessed on what we were doing. And again, when I started those videos, we were living in Guam. Had moved from Texas to living in Guam because my wife has taken this job with the Department of Defense, Education Administration, where she's working with schools in the military. And so we're not enlisted, but again, that's what took us from Texas to Guam. We were living on the Navy base there in Guam, as she was working in a support role there for all of the schools at the various. Again, if you're not familiar with Guam, as probably most anyone isn't, it's a relatively small island of like 210 square miles that has currently two military bases, and they're actually putting in a third one, so it'll be one Air Force base on the north end of the island, kind of toward the south, or mid-islands toward the south is the Navy base where we lived, and they are installing in the process of developing a base for the Marines, but that's that just barely became a plan in that last year while we were there. So it's they're right at the beginning phases of moving Marines in, and then obviously they're going to have to break ground and create a base for them. But the point is so there's this again. When I say the adventure, the adventure refers to a shift in mindset where when we moved to Guam, it was with the idea that Guam is this beautiful sort of tropical island. It's like living in Hawaii, and that my wife thought it would be likely that on 2-year rotational contract that we would likely if she hated it, she's there for the 2 years. If presuming that it was at least bearable, it would be sort of a minimum of 4, renewing that contract at least once. But assuming we fell in love with it, maybe we would live there a decade or more. She might spend an entire career in Dodea from until retirement there, living in Guam. We were open to that possibility. Again, moving to a place that's not very dissimilar from living in a beautiful place like Hawaii. You think, well, if we really, really love it here, why the heck would we not stay? And then discovered that the culture is that if she really was, going to have ambition in her career, that she had to be sort of open to moving around, because the Department of Defense, of course, the United States Department of Defense is worldwide in its operations, and that they have need for people in teaching the children of the military families all over the world, and that's kind of how things are done, and so there was this mind shift. We were only in Guam for a year, and shockingly, my wife Amy was asking me to sort of give this consideration to it could really be great for our family, and it could be a different kind of experience in getting to experience the world at large, if we're open to these ideas of taking opportunities wherever we find them, or wherever she finds them, of course. And obviously, that the mindset shift for me then became, as far as raising an objection, I mean, first I had to, oh boy, we're giving up beaches and sun and all this beauty especially since where we ended up here is in northern Japan, in the Aomori prefecture, which is it's Misawa in the Aomori prefecture, which is literally the snowiest place on the planet. It gets the most annual snowfall of anywhere on Earth, because of the particular geography here. It gets into that cold, and then it's if it were a warmer climate, I guess it would be like Seattle, or one of these places where it rains all the time. Instead, here during the winter months, it's just piles and piles and piles of snow, and it's again, it's just it's not that the temperatures are particularly overly frigid. Of course, they have a fairly severe winter to support all that snow, but I mean, there are colder places on the planet, just not more snow. And so, and so that was the thing. I think, I had a moment, I had a little bit of time where, it took a little bit of convincing, and as I say, a mindset shift, and then, I said, what the hell? Yeah, let's, so the idea though being that, look, obviously that really puts a crimp in my ability to establish some kind of stable work history. I'm not going to be much of a economic provider partner for you. My role since our son has been born has largely been as a caretaker for him, and and obviously, therefore, a lot of the sort of domestic duties around the house, have fallen to me, and obviously, I'm very, we have a great family. We have a wonderful dynamic, right? We have a great marriage. We have a wonderful kid that we really love, and we're doing well, raising together in a partnership, and and obviously the pandemic has made it a strain for everybody. So, there's been periods of time here during lockdowns and blah, 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 where there's not any kind of a daycare option, which, further makes it difficult for the partner, the spouse here, to think about doing something outside of the home, or to keep, again, a regular income going. But it has afforded me this sort of unstructured time, again, working with my partner when she's home and she's able to look after our son, and the fact that I can sort of, if I'm self-directed in my work as a writer, I can work at all hours and different times and at odd moments, and take whatever breaks are necessary to do the things that are required, and that has happened. So let me start with the weight loss stuff, right? So the weight loss, again, starting up almost a year ago, I was at 265 pounds, and I began that effort. I talked about using the new map is sort of the only thing beyond just my own, beyond my own discipline, my own self-discipline. I've made great use of the new map. So, I mean, is that an endorsement? I think um, it has tools that certainly have been beneficial, and it's helped me establish routines that are crucial for me and my, how I best operate. I'm neither endorsing it nor dismissing it. I give it good marks, I suppose. I mean, I think there was a component. There's a component to what Noom does, especially if you. I don't know. I guess there's a sort of a free app part to it, and then which just gives you some analytical tools, some data logging sorts of tools, right? You're logging your exercise, you're logging your meal calories, that sort of thing. And that at this point, we're not paying for the Noom service. The wider service gives you access to support group, online support group, as well as a one-on-one coaching if you're interested in that, as well as an ongoing sort of lesson plan, right? That is giving you articles that detail things about nutrition and health and motivation and psychology and all of that sort of stuff. And so, some of that was very helpful in the early going. I feel like I sort of graduated it, right? At the point where the membership part that we had paid for ran out, we just decided, that's it. We're good now. Like, the articles at a certain point get redundant, and it's not really teaching you anything new. And there's, as far as the rest of it, I don't know that I was leaning on any of it that heavily, but for me, it was always the stuff. It's the stuff that's really present in the free version of the app, and there are other apps that do similar things that you can log your exercise and meal. But it's in that act of logging that keeps you. You sort of you think, well, what is the point? The point is the discipline of it, right? It's establishing that disciplinary habit, and when you look at the numbers as you're logging them, it also helps you kind of stay mindful of making the better choices. So, really, once you've done that act of logging it, then it's not like you do something with it later. You're not generating a report. It doesn't, go to a doctor or anything. It's, you log it and it goes into the app and it's off in the electronic ether somewhere. In the cloud or whatever the hell, and I suppose if somebody wanted to run you some kind of report, they could, but who cares? That's not the point. The point is maintaining daily discipline and making mindful choices in your eating, and obviously I'm doing a lot better with that. So I started off. Again, I believe it was. Sorry, I'm going to say it was like April the 20th is when roundabout is when the weight loss effort started. 265 pounds with a goal of reaching 185 pounds. At 185 pounds, and I just want to be clear, at 185 pounds, I felt was a good goal. It's a place where I generally know, like, in that range when I'm at 190, below 190 is when I really start feeling, generally speaking, it's been, I should say, throughout my life, the place since achieving adulthood where I start feeling like I'm, looking better, feeling better, that losing weight from that point sort of forward doesn't make a tremendous difference in my appearance. And it's obviously very, very significant to go from 265 down to 185, an 80-pound differential. But again, truth be told, just medically speaking, if you look at, charts of things and whatever, I am still aware that 185, for given my height and build and age range and all of those variables that they throw onto these kinds of charts, that it's still considered overweight, and so. I thought the 185 is a doable without being oppressive, and then the point from there was to simply assess as I got into that. So, again, here we are, Friday, April the 8th, 2022, and here, not quite a year later, and I'm pleased to report, as a matter of fact, as of this morning, really as of yesterday, but, it's kind of like when you get to a number, and then, like, understanding that weight fluctuates, and it's not to say that tomorrow I might get on the scale and I could be a tick up. But I've got 2 days in a row now, so that makes me feel a little more solid to say, like, I hit my 185. I've hit the goal in within the year. This morning I weighed in actually at 183.8. Yesterday I was at 184 and some change. So and weight, again, for at least, I don't know about your weight, if you're somebody who weight loss is not an issue, and your weight is like rock steady from the day that you graduated high school to for the next 30 years or something, and it never fluctuates, more power to you. I can only tell you that I get on a scale from one day to the next, and the variations can be sometimes upwards of 2 pounds. Certainly if I've had a larger meal, I mean, like the days after, like Thanksgiving, or any kind of a celebratory meal or something like that. It's always a bite the bullet, and part of the program got me in the habit of weighing myself daily, which can be. You've got to, if that's a thing that you're going to do, certainly I would think that at a minimum, if you're engaged in a weight loss effort, you want to think about doing it at least once a week, right? Weighing in, and that might even be, I've certainly gone that route in previous weight loss efforts. I think, again, even the new, like, they start you off saying weigh in daily, and then at a certain point they sort of say, all right, now you can start thinking about weighing in less often or whatever. And I stayed with it daily because, again, I think there are certain things that were just good disciplines for me, and I know that if I start giving myself permission to get away, things have a habit of, I'd way rather say, oh, I wasn't so disciplined in that I missed a weigh-in yesterday, but I got back on the horse today and did it. If I sleep in and then oh, we got to get up and we got to run, and oh boy, I run out the door and oh, I didn't weigh myself this morning. Like not your world doesn't crash down if you miss out on a disciplinary, on a discipline, but I think that that tendency to sort of have bad habits creep back in, that gets amplified when you start giving yourself too much permission to not stick with your disciplines, or at least it can be if you're someone like myself. Obviously, I would say that that's as much a key to the struggles that I've had with maintaining weight loss is again mindfulness, and mindfulness is my big. It's sort of the bigger picture here, and everything that I'm. If I've got a message to this video series, it is the power of mindfulness in my own life, the improvements that I've made since. For myself as a person in so many different ways, I'm a kinder, calmer, gentler, more focused person than I was at the end of my first marriage, which was in 2015, and in getting remarried. Like my wife my wife now, who is my real absolute soulmate partner. I owe her everything in the world. I love her. you know, she. I love her. I love her as you know. Pick your metaphor of choice. I mean, we are true partners in every sense of the word, and we have a marriage now in year 6 that's as strong as ever. It's I'm humbled by it, to be honest. But I know that like the things I don't struggle with a sense of worthiness, which is a huge thing to say at a certain level, and if maybe you could even appreciate that, right? I mean, that I'm not. I now am not somebody struggling with the guy in the mirror, and it feels good to be able to say that. Which is not to say that I'm suddenly like I'm not. I don't have an inflated sense of ego, but again, I'm not. Nor am I as hard and judgmental on myself. I'm much. I don't know what to say. I mean, just all I can say is my. Look, I would say this. This is the way to say it. The way to say it is that I'm a healthier human being in just about every facet that I can think of. Emotionally, mentally, physical health. Again, and mindfulness. To say, what's responsible. It's a commitment to mindfulness. Again, at all levels. Do I do a meditation practice regularly? You bet your ass I do, right? Mindful choices and taking responsibility and being if I've got to if channeling the energy that may have gone to self-recrimination and judgment and having that low self-esteem because here you are, bud, you're overweight and out of shape and going nowhere, don't haven't established things for yourself, and at times you disappoint people, or like whatever difficulties I may have had with my ex-wife, and whatever it is that it can fairly be said you're culpable for, and you should have done better. That the improvement in all of those areas comes from again taking that energy and now holding yourself accountable. It's not that like again, it's not that I've suddenly magically become something that I wasn't before. It's in embracing that you are better than this, and all it's simply being mindful of all of these aspects of your life, making mindful choices about what food you're putting in your body, what exercise that you're getting, holding yourself accountable to sitting down and doing the writing, doing the work that you're meant to do, and being mindful of your partner, listening to her, and being responsive to her needs, and you find and that's not a one-way street, and that doesn't make you a slave or anything. It doesn't put you in a position of weakness. Far from. And I think at the end you find you're stronger and stronger in a lot of ways if you make that sort of adjustment in your life. And I mean, it's not to be on a soapbox, but it has been sort of like if I had a central theme and that's sort of run through these videos, this vlog, that would sort of be it, and it's it's something that's only getting refined more and more in my life, and I recommend it highly for you, and certainly if you watch this video and those are words that resonate with you and you want to reach out to me, whatever, I'm receptive to having those conversations, and again, it's not it's not that I'm posturing myself as really anything. I'm not a guide, I'm not a guru, I'm not offering a course or anything along those lines. I'm a writer who's offering this vlog as sort of just insight. It's at this point, what is the point of this vlog as it's continued on? And again, I'm not doing it regularly, and that's one of the things, right? Is the point of getting it started was as a measure. If you're familiar with entrepreneurship and becoming an online writer presence, and for in a commercial sense, it's about audience building and connection and those sorts of things, and establishing authority, if you will, in certain topics. So now at this point I look at it as this is way more casual than that. And so, while I do want to do this vlog more regularly than I have in recent months. There's, great reason for that. It's because, things are going so well in these other areas. I believe in previous vlogs I've talked about, if you go back to ones from November, December of 2021, I would have started talking about that I've been placed under contract. I have, made a contact, reached out to a gentleman named Mitch German, who offers a course and a course and software for storytellers of various kinds. He began as a screenwriter, much like myself, and offered a course in screenwriting that he called the Mega Course, and he offered a software called Plot Control, which Plot Control was then expanded into a family of software with slightly different bents to it, aimed at for some specific, again, started with Plot Control for screenwriters, and then Chapter Control for novelists, and Episode Control for TV writers. There are other variants. There's an essay, something called Essay Dog, which is to help college applicants and people that need to write essays. And some other, again, there are other ones, and other products that he sort of developed with his developers. But that's, kind of this genesis of this family of products. But I, was sort of instrumental in reaching out to Mitch, that he decided to go ahead and update that original mega course for screenwriters into what is now been broadened for all storytelling kinds of applications, in a course called Your Storytelling Potential, and was looking to turn that material from the course into a companion book. And I think he originally, as he said, he was sort of just envisioning a simple workbook to supplement the course. He agreed to, we talked it out, and he offered me the opportunity to do that work and assist in this effort of compiling the course material into a book. So it's not an original book written based on my own ideas. It's a book that I largely wrote, did the actual hands-on fingers to the keyboard writing and composition and organizing it into the text format, and that Mitch is again thoroughly based on Mitch's ideas. So it's apropos that he's credited as the essentially the author, as he's gone in and taken the foundation that I laid and done his amount of editing, putting his spin on it, adjusting things, whatever. He wrote significant amounts of the material at the end, and so I made the deal that I'm pleased with. That we are now here in April. Like as of this week, the book is, in essence, at least the first draft of it is completed and in the can. And he's receiving some feedback that may go into further, some further tweaking, editing tweaks. But it was in enough of a position where the manuscript, in his mind, he at least took a shot at submitting it to a publisher, and all just one publisher's submission. And if you know anything about the publishing world, I think when you're looking to shop a book, especially as writers with no previous publishing history track record, if you're a best-selling author, of course, everything you write, they're clamoring all over themselves to compete, or if you're not under contract already, or everything goes straight to publication. But we're talking about at the level of trying to break into a publishing. You should be prepared to submit your, the stories are legion of even best-selling things like that. I submitted it all over town and got pink slip after pink slip with rejection slips from everybody. Until I finally found a producer or a publisher that was willing to take a chance on this material, or found the right one. Mitch did a great job of identifying the right place, the right house that is looking maybe for this kind of material, and which is not to say we haven't signed anything. I'm not here to announce like the book is getting published. But he's had a promising meeting, and that's the only thing, right? We're feeling great about where this stands at the moment. The point being is that, obviously we've had a strong response from people in the industry, enough to feel pretty confident that even if, for whatever reason, the ink can't dry on a contract with this specific publisher, that, in the long run, we feel good that it's something that will gain the interest in order to, be published. So that's which is exciting. It's an exciting development. It's gratifying, and then hopefully we'll see where it goes from there. But I mean, that's my wife, for her to place that kind of trust in me that that I was going to be good to my word. That like, if you're giving me this opportunity to really focus on being the writer that I always wanted to be, and here to go from that within a year to establish something, and then execute a book and be able to she's sort of like, that's it for her. She's pleased. She's like, that's so exciting, and she's not about anything like whatever comes of it at this point. She's just so proud of the effort and the response, and that it is demonstrably well written at a professional level, that I'm not deluding myself or her, or wasting anybody's time, or but that I've given it a good effort, and I feel I can, again, as far as being able to look that guy in the mirror, and say well, good on you, that feels good, and then sort of very simultaneously and well out of the blue comes some interest in a script that I wrote a long time ago, that has been in the hands of an independent producer, and it seems as though finally, at long last, through a lot of false starts with a number of different interested directors who, for whatever reason, things didn't work out with, we seem to have a real champion of the material, of the particular script that I've written. And again, not here to make an announcement about anything specific, but that it feels good that I've been actively working with a director who's made a movie and is interested in this particular script, and again, early stages of nothing, no ink dry on any deals. Certainly financing isn't there, but we like the pieces are coming into place, and this is now going to be an actively focused, worked on production, hopefully. So it certainly will be taken as far as it possibly can, and we will have the answer, I believe, in the next 12 to 18 months about, is this going to become a produced film or not. And I don't really see that it would go past that, because we are, we found the person. We're not going to get a more engaged, because this director is not merely interested in taking this on as their next job, their next project, and I mean, he's really focused and into this, and responding very well to the material, making it his own, in a way that you want a director to do. So, you know, but that doesn't mean, really, that doesn't mean it's far from making it a done deal. And so and then I've talked a lot about this, the Animated Donnerverse, which is my personal fan fiction project based on the Christopher Reeve 1970s and 80s Superman series, and I've nearly completed the second script, and for me, this was the way to develop this, was to start with the material. To not just be a pie in the sky dreamer about such a thing. It is something that I think a lot of people consider to be an impossibility, and I'm going to make it possible, and it's going to happen. And I've actually got a thought about how I'm going to continue to develop this once I've got both scripts for the first two stories in hand. I've got the first one I wrote in 2020. Which would be kind of my version of a third movie in the series, stemming from Superman 2, where from that point forward, the films that they actually made in 1983 and in 1987, the sequels to Superman 2, they just sort of followed different, they're episodic, they follow different storylines, they're unrelated, and so this is sort of an attempt to continue the story that begins with Superman 1 and 2, with new, different challenges for Superman, and to try to recapture something that was has been incredibly important to me, formative years, seminal movies that I still I love and treasure to this day, and this is my love letter to that, and it's something that I think is going to be a big part of my life's work and legacy as a screenwriter, and someone involved and interested in film. I mean, whatever I do end up doing professionally, this is going to be something that I think at the end of when all is said and done, I think people are going to be like, this was a guy that might have been able to jump into the film screenwriting game a lot earlier in life, and for whatever reason he didn't, but he, hopefully, I'm able to continue to build on what I've established here through this book, and through, if this movie moves forward and gets made, if and whatever I subsequently, I mean, beyond the Superman project, I'm very, very much developing other commercially viable screenplays. Obviously, a fan fiction project is not commercially viable, don't intend it to be. Though, again, I've developed a thought about how we might be able to approach the legitimate rights holders at Warner Brothers and DC about making it a project that they might be interested in legitimizing. And I think that I've got a plan for that. That's not just some kind of delusional pie in the sky. It's not that at all. I think it's the approach for how we might do that. First of all, it means that I've got to develop this thing to a really fine, sharp, professional-looking edge, and it's going to be something involved with bringing in. You've got to find a reason for why they would be interested in doing this as an the Animated Donnerverse. Why would Warner Brothers and DC Animation be interested in picking up, first of all, because it's, because I'm going to deliver extremely high quality because I'm going to come in with proof of concept, and that means that I'm going to have to self-produce at least some very impressive and coherent, that allows them to see the vision of whether it's a trailer or some form of a short version, something, and bring it to again, I'm not saying too much about it right here until, I'm never comfortable making announcements about things and putting it on video and distributing it. That's not set, or that might, potentially, ruin a deal, or so it's, again, this is my hesitance to name names or get too specific, but, just sort of, if you followed me this long and you're 45 minutes into this, into this video, and you're interested in these projects, this is what I'm just sort of laying out what's going on, and take from all of this, take from this vlog what you will, whether it's inspiration about weight loss, or just mindfulness in general, or if my projects are of interest, look into them and keep an eye out. I appreciate you spending the time with me, and I think I'm going to wrap. Once again, I talk about this, I think, in about every video. This is longer than I intended to go, for sure, but I guess when you don't make these regularly, you end up sort of having a backlog of issues and updates, etc., to sort of cover. But maybe moving forward, I might get back. Fortunately, I'm past the point. Again, the hiatus has been due to how busy I've been with the book, and now, the screenwriting. I've done a first pass of the draft, and now hopefully I'm going to be working with the director to. We're going to get feedback, and we'll make another run at it, and then hopefully be able to start the process of having producers really shop it where it needs to be shopped to secure the financing and etc. But so again, a lot of things exciting happening, professionally, projects out there to be looking for. If you're a Superman fan, look for the Animated Donnerverse on Facebook, and again, all rights reserved by Warner Brothers in DC, and the proper rights holders for Superman. This is not a project that is intended in any way to compete or detract or anything like that. It's again, it's currently a fan fiction work, and can only and would only ever be legitimized by the actual rights holders at Warner Brothers DC. For it to be developed in any sort of legitimate way. Otherwise, it'll it'll get done. It's going to it'll be a fan sort of venture. Otherwise, which if you're familiar with fan material, I enjoy fan material. I like the idea that people are that passionate, and I'm certainly that passionate when it comes to the Superman films, because I wouldn't be as interested. I wouldn't say, well, who can say? All I can say is they meant a lot to me when I was young, and they sort of still do to this day. So, all right. Well, I thank you very much for joining me for It's All Comical for, again, April the 8th, 2022. I hopefully am going to get back into the swing of doing this on a weekly basis, but until whatever, if I don't see you next week, I usually close out saying, you have a great week. If I don't get a chance to make another one of these videos for a longer period of time, then you have great many weeks, have great many days, have great lives. Do everything that makes your life wonderful and expansive, and keep spreading the love. So, thank you very much.